defining genres seems to be an ongoing element of today's game design. Breaking the mold of what is considered tried and true has elevated many experiences. The SRPG genre was cemented following the release of games like Tactics Ogre, Final Fantasy Tactics, and then Disgaea. These games used grid-based maps to navigate battlefields using a pool of units to take down the enemy. However, a title came along that walked a different path. Phantom Brave was an exciting release by the Disgaea developer because it removed the grid and gave players a host of unique customization options as they navigated battlefields as a phantom named Ash and a young girl with the power to materialize phantoms. When Phantom Brave: The Lost Hero was announced, I was pretty surprised. While I hold fond memories of these characters and this adventure, I didn't feel it needed a sequel. However, once I put in a few hours, the memories of this charming cast and the combat depth grabbed hold of me, and I refused to let go.
Ready for arm day!
Phantom Brave: The Lost Hero takes a little bit of time in its opening to reintroduce leads Marona and Ash. In the first game, Marona made a name for herself as a powerful chroma and taught people not to judge a book by its cover. In many ways, this theme carries into the new adventure, but instead of defending Marona, the group finds themselves facing off against characters who may just be misunderstood and not downright evil. Still, I should preface all of this with the fact that, like Ash, many of these characters Marona interacts with are dead, including the new lead, Apricot. In the first chapter, Marona is separated from Ash after encountering a ghost pirate fleet. Following the battle, she washes ashore on Skull Rock Island where she meets a young phantom named Apricot. It's here we learn of the Ghost Fleet's legends and how various pirate crews divvy up islands in the region, and it's here that we also learn about the Argento pirate crew. Apricot just happens to be the dead daughter of this renowned crew's leader that has seen better days. Since the disappearance of her dad, the Argento pirates are kind of unremarkable, making it easier for Marona to show up and put them on the right path. The plan involves increasing the Argento pirate territory by visiting neighboring islands and finding Apricot's dad. The narrative in the early chapters depicts the crew seemingly on the heels of Apricot's dad, but they're slowed down by various issues each island is facing at the time of arrival. It's not really until about chapter 5 that the game finds its footing, but the narrative is always pretty captivating. Each chapter has a general game flow. When you arrive on an island, you have to figure out what the current issue is and then fight your way through several encounters. Most of the scenarios depict why holding off on judging or waiting to reveal the bigger picture before making assumptions is usually helpful. These stories aim to show the different ways people can be misunderstood. No matter where you are, there's always this grim undertone looming though, given that most of the characters you meet are already dead. A lot of the emotion here is glossed over in the early chapters, but you eventually learn more about the supporting cast and their situation. That said, you'll have to play a lot to get to that point. I think the pacing of Phantom Brave: The Lost Heroes is its biggest downside, but also necessary, as it does make sense why the developers chose to roll out the narrative and systems in a staggered approach when you realize there's a lot to this game. Phantom Brave: The Lost Hero is one of those games that always has something for you to do outside of the main campaign. From Skull Rock Island, you'll slowly unlock new facilities across each chapter that open up new ways to enjoy. In the beginning, things might be a little difficult, since you'll probably be hard-pressed for mana, which is used in the event that you need to revive a downed ally, but thankfully after a few matches, the gameplay systems and strategy reveal themselves. The trick is to break free of your general knowledge about what an SRPG should be, and then you'll probably start having fun. The sheer number of things to do is necessary to limit the need to level grind, given that many later facilities allow you to take on optional quests or play until your heart's content. Still, I had to replay the first 3 levels a few times to really understand the strategy of this game and learn the art of confining, confront, and confire. While confining isn't new, in battle Marona can utilize items on the field to materialize phantoms, which are made up of party members assembled and equipped at Skull Rock Island before the battle. There's some strategy to consider since certain items give stat boosts, but each character summoned is locked to a specific number of turns before they leave for the remainder of a match. Further, if a character dies on the field, they'll need to be revived back at Skull Rock in order to be summoned again. Anyway, Confriend is an ability that allows Marona to merge with another party member and gain stat bonuses along with a unique skill. Additionally, you'll eventually unlock Confire, which is essentially gadgets that allow Apricot to summon tanks and other objects to the field so that Marona can confine a party member to them. Creating one of each character is a nice rule of thumb for these early stages, but after about chapter 5, you'll need to have a strategy to manage the challenge this game throws at you. While I was initially confused about the option to skip the story upon entering a stage for the first time, I can see SRPG fans wanting to play this game for the challenge alone, making the story supplemental content to what the player actually enjoys. In the late chapters, I was humbled by the requirement to properly kit out units and create parties and strategies that could get me through these battles. For example, I might open up with ranged attacks and call in my mages and finally close out with matches with my attackers. Understanding how many turns a unit has on the field left is necessary because the last thing you want to do is face down the boss and discover your only capable attacker just used their last turn. As you unlock new units, your strategy should change too, including incorporating monsters and sniper birds into your crew. This isn't like choosing 6 Pokemon and taking them to the end. This game wants you to create mass units, mess around with strategies, and kit out your crew with insane weapons like fish, bushes, and bones. The side effect of this is that you may not really feel close to the general party members, but you'll appreciate the extra units when you're fighting powerful enemies. To assist with this growing crew size is the Juice Bar, where you can save experience gained from matches to then share it with other units to level them up more quickly, while unlocking skills as an added bonus. Skills can be learned by unit type and equipment, along with scrolls found by completing maps. This scroll system is pretty important as it allows you to fine-tune characters with stat boosts, some of which require specific scenarios to get the full effect, such as having multiple characters on the field to provide an attack bonus, or being more proficient in a specific weapon type. Thankfully, because you're allowed to create and retire units at will, you can easily make a mistake in the early game, learn from it in the later game, and still correct it without much of a time sink or even a restart. In the case of skills, I didn't really know you could create a unit with multiple class skills, but once I understood this system, I was able to correct this course with a new unit. When it comes to facilities, there's an almost overwhelming amount of options and menus to get lost in. You can organize pirate ships for added experience and treasure, salvage items, develop new gadgets, and more. The Create Dungeon feature is something that you'll need in the late game for rare items and titles. Damn it, now I have to talk about titles. Okay, so changing a character's title can have some incredible effects. You can use the dungeon creator to increase those stats so when a character is equipped with the title, they gain the rewards. The late game is all about character refinement for tough battles, and this game rolls out the red carpet for you in terms of incredibly unique customization options. Outside of this, you can expect to spend all your time in battle. While I don't mind the 3D character models, I do miss the old pixel graphics. There are some pretty cool levels, especially when you have puzzle elements like an item that grants invulnerability to the boss or an environmental gimmick on the field. Some can just be a little too busy when it comes to objects and scale. The enemy AI doesn't know how to deal with the scale either, as they seem to have difficulty jumping out of water. Although I didn't have to look past much while playing. I know how difficult and punishing this game can be, so I learned to appreciate the slow pacing. The soundtrack for Phantom Brave the Lost Hero is packed with island charm, but I didn't actually care for the fade-in opening of the Skull Rock Island theme. It just never sounded natural, and you hear it a lot.
Order up!
Sup, bro?
The English voiceover was a nice touch. It really brings out the character personalities during story scenes, but the constant one-liners from the crew as you navigate facilities does get a bit old. It only took a few times in the juice bar for
My power's boiling over.
to take on perverted undertones, and the same can be said for many things the characters say. Regardless, I really like Morona and Apricot's back and forth. Given their age, I was worried they'd sound too similar, but that wasn't actually a problem here. Phantom Brave the Lost Hero is an incredibly fun game to get good at. Fans of SRPGs will have an awesome time breaking this adventure wide open and devising over-the-top strategies and party and weapon configurations that make the entire experience feel rewarding. But that said, this doesn't actually feel like a game for newcomers. While core elements from its predecessor remain, NIS has found a way to evolve these systems without guardrails. What's here is a game for gamers. And while the story will capture the hearts of those who need substance to connect to an adventure, the systems and how they each play into party customization and strategy will be what keeps you playing. Noisy Pixel is giving Phantom Brave the Lost Hero an 8 out of 10. Thanks for watching. This video is brought to you by our supporters on Patreon. Noisy Pixel is run by a group of gamers providing independent gaming coverage through news, reviews, previews, and more. Check out our Patreon to help support our continued growth, and subscribe to keep up with all our future content.
Noisy Pixel.